it's very apparent that Reiss from the latest season of Married at First Sight UK is another Why Not scouted casting. I doubt he applied for the show. Probably is on the casting backlog of another reality TV show that he's applied for. And they were like, do you want to come in for Married at First Sight UK? And he was like, why not? Frankly, him and Leisha have been set up. It is a mismatch. And the whole thing is that he's very nonchalant, not very emotionally available. And Leisha is quote unquote too much. I think she definitely has a loud presence, a loud energy. And she was definitely very animated at the wedding. And I think she's very much like, take me as I am. I feel like she's definitely very much like, you know, I want somebody who wants me for me, rather than kind of reading the room and toning it down a little bit as and when. It was very clear at the wedding that Reiss had basically caught the ick. He wasn't really interested in her. And I think sometimes even on the wedding day, you can kind of tell this isn't going to work out. And this is a relationship where I kind of know it's not going to work out. So then we get to the honeymoon. And there's still a difference in energy levels. But in my opinion, I don't think that Leisha was doing too much. I think it was Reiss who was doing too little. I think if Reiss actually liked Leisha, I think he would appreciate her energy. I don't think that she necessarily came across as overbearing in the honeymoon. To me, it just seemed like somebody who was interested in their husband that they just got married to. It felt like he would have rathered him have a free holiday to Thailand, but because to get this free holiday to Thailand, he had to get married to someone, he's now bearing with the wife. That's what it's given. So the first incident, I guess, if you could call it that, we see between them, we see them having nighttime/evening drinks, and Leisha asks very playfully, are you falling for me? You know, are you falling for me? Do you like me? And he immediately, his face switches up and he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, you're coming on too strong. Now, although I wouldn't put it past Leisha to hope that, you know, Reiss had fallen in love with her at first sight, but I think she was just gauging whether he actually liked her to get some sort of reassurance from him, because he has been being very distant emotionally. And his whole excuse is, oh, I've only known you 2 days, I've only known you 3 days. But I call bullshit. I feel like, you know, at this point you're married, first of all. This isn't dating, they're married. And I feel like at least from the beginning, you kind of get a sense of, is this somebody that I could fall for at the very least? And I think maybe, and I think Leisha would have been satisfied with that if he said, you know what, I'm not at that point yet, but I definitely like you. She didn't get neither of that. And to me, it's very clear that Reiss is not emotionally available, and he wants to treat this marriage like they're in the dating stage, which to me just lets me know he's not serious and he's not going to be taking this experiment serious. Then we have a second incident which just doubles down on him being unserious. Leisha is in an incident with a dog where she's petting the dog and the dog bites her on the nose. Now, they're in Thailand right now. The risk of rabies and stuff like that is low, but there is still a risk. So, of course, she has to go to hospital. And Reiss didn't want to go to the hospital with her. She had to physically be like, can you come? She had to actually tell him to come to the hospital with her. And when she checked him, that she was upset that she had to ask him and that it should have been automatic that he came to the hospital, he basically tried to downplay it and be like, it wasn't that deep. It was just a little scratch. You're doing too much. Again, unserious. I would go to the hospital with somebody that I had just met in 2 hours. If I ended up getting bitten by a dog and they had to go to hospital, I would go to hospital with them. That's just like standard human stuff. Like, if you are a human with feelings and with empathy, you would go with someone if they were hurt and you knew them. And then he's talking about it was just a scratch. You don't know that. You don't know that. The fact of the matter is, his wife is harmed and he doesn't feel the sense of making sure that she's okay. And she brought up a great point. They're in a foreign country and you're making your wife go to the hospital by herself. You don't know if she could take a turn for the worst. She'll have no one to advocate for herself, and her whole husband is there in the country and he's not coming to the hospital just in case anything turns left. And then he's trying to make her feel like the bad guy for feeling a type of way about it. Absolute trash. And this man says he wants a wife and kids. We already know what type of person this is going to be. Wife and kids. I hope not, for the sake of those wife and kids. If this is how he's behaving. So to me, the lack of humanity already is a red flag. And then, of course, it just proves that he doesn't like her. Leisha keeps bringing up the fact that he fancies her. He clearly don't fancy you, because if he fancied you, he would have been at the hospital with you. He doesn't like her, period. And because he doesn't like her, he doesn't feel a type of way to treat her like she's a nobody, his whole wife. So his tactic is to be like, oh, well, we've only known each other a couple days and, you're expecting too much from me. Even a one-night stand could be treating Leisha better than her husband would. I think even before that, there was another incident where we see them sitting in the market. Bearing in mind, they're sitting down on a bench. Look at the distance between them. He's on one side of the bench, he's on the other end of the bench. It was ridiculous. And I think she said something of the fact of, do you feel privileged to be my husband? And he said, yeah. And he was clearly lying. And she calls him out on the lie. She's like, I know that you're lying. And he's like, what? Because he's been called out. And he basically told her that he feels like she's doing too much, because she kept asking questions like, do you see me in your future? Words of that effect. And he was just basically like, I'm uncomfortable with you asking me these questions because I don't know that after so many days. And like I said, it's not necessarily, I think the whole, oh, in 5 years' time, I don't know where I'm going to be is just an excuse, because at the very least, you can meet someone and know this is someone that I want to see in my future. Whether that's a week from now, a month from now, when you meet this person, you want to see them again at the very least. Whereas Reiss, he's looking like he don't want to see her after this experiment is finished and he's got his screen time. So basically we see them now on this boat trip, and Leisha's basically like, we need to hash this out. I need to get to the bottom of this guy's intentions, because I feel like I don't know what this guy's intention is. And it's just the same old thing back and forth. She's basically like, do you see me in your future? And he's basically like, you're doing too much. Like, it's making me push back. Like, I need you to, take the pressure off of me, all of this. And even though Leisha's been characterized as being too much, I feel like the questions she's asking are fair for a marriage. And the fact that he's deflecting is given, you just came for the free holiday and the free board and the screen time. By the end of it, it seems like they came to a compromise. She is now like, okay, I'm just going to chill. I'm not going to take this experiment too seriously. And, I'm not going to put the pressure on you anymore. And he's happy now because the heat is off him and he can continue taking the piss. And he's successfully gaslit her into second guessing herself and thinking, oh, I don't want to scare him off by being too much, when really she's asking the right question. But it seems like at the next dinner party, there's going to be some drama. And it seems like maybe Leisha got her lick back for the lack of attention and she started flirting with other men. Because there was a discussion where she was basically like, I need to know whether there's going to be a future between us or not, because I've got other options. So maybe she's just kind of like, okay, you want to act like you're too nice for me? I'm going to do the same. So I guess we'll see the drama at the dinner party. But yeah, I don't think this is working out. And I feel like, yeah, Reiss is unserious. But I got to hear your thoughts on this couple. Is Leisha doing too much, or is she valid, or should she cut Reiss a break? Let me know your thoughts.